Well, good morning from the little veranda here at Bealtaine Cottage that I have been up early and cleaning up. Yes, the cold is still with me, but I've been sleeping lots. And if I don't come out, you see, Jack won't come out. He's very much, which is quite good because it means he's not the kind of dog who strays. Oh, he's far too intelligent anyway, aren't you, Jack? So, I've got some coffee here in my nice new cup, so I'm going to sit down and have a little chat. Yes, and Jack's very, very happy that I'm out here. He thinks I'm having a chat with him. Well, I am in a way, Jack. And there's little birds singing and everything. So I have a wheelbarrow full of plants and things to move over to the tunnel, which I hope to do later on. Because I found that being outside yesterday, even just for the hour that it was, really helped. Really helped. Sort of clear my airways a little bit and clear my throat a little bit as well. Just loosen up the cold. I think at this point all one can do is just attempt to loosen up the cold. And that's what antibiotics would do, but I don't take antibiotics except in a real emergency. And having a cold is not an emergency. And I know that some of you, I've been reading down through the comments from yesterday's video, and I'll talk about those just in a moment. But for all the people who wish me well, first of all, thank you so very much. I'm a huge believer in good energy, and I know that many of you have sent Reiki healing, which I am very deeply in thrall of, because I've seen it and felt it work. Now, let me just, I'm going to be a wee bit slower today, you understand that. The full moon last night was incredible. It was incredible. And I took some beautiful photographs of it, just from the position of the lodge there. Just over there. Because the moon was rising just over there, that side. So I received quite a few emails as well as comments, and I haven't been on to Facebook yet to read all the comments, and I will do that this morning. I have a bundle of stuff to post over at the post office as well, so I've got to get that done today, because I might have, what's turning into a bit of a head cold, which I think is quite good, because it means it's working its way up rather than down onto my chest. And now excuse me rambling, okay, because I'm going to be rambling all over the place. So quite a few people said yesterday, Colette, you're suffering from delirium. Sorry, just got my coffee shaking. Well, all I can say is, are you only just finding that out now? There's the wee robin down there, look. See, robins are very sociable wee creatures too. Very sociable. So, the video that I made yesterday was from the heart. I like to think all my videos are from the heart. But I received some emails. Now, one was from a very good friend called Simon, and I won't mentioned Simon's second name because he's a very private person. Simon was one of the very first patrons to Bealtaine Cottage. Now, when I first started writing the blog on the website, I mean, I had a piddling little camera. It was one of the cheapest little cameras on the market. Well, it was all I could afford. And I started off with a free website on WordPress. And I began just taking lots of photographs and posting photographs and writing little bits of prose. I suppose my writing has always been a little bit prosaic, as people would say, but I never really expected many people to take notice. And I think the first I heard from Simon was he sent me a donation. It's a child, I think, over the way. He sent me a donation, and yes, it was a donation of €100 at a time for me when, if I got a donation of €10, it was absolutely amazing. And if I recall rightly, I think I responded to Simon's donation with a little email to say, you've sent me €100. I just wanted him to clarify because I thought he'd made a mistake. I thought he'd put an extra zero on. And this was at a time when it was really, really hard for me to cobble together the mortgage payment each month. I mean, it was really difficult. The mortgage payment was, it was 363, I think. It kind of went up and down by a few euro, but it was getting up towards 400. We were looking, I always say we. I think I talk about me and my animals, but I was looking at somewhere in the region of about €90 or something a week. Now, I was living at the time on a terribly small amount of money. And what kept me going at the time was I was doing little craft fairs. I was making soaps and creams and candles, and just hoping that I'd sell enough each week to make that mortgage payment. So that was in the days of real kind of touch and go finances. Like there was many's a week that I just lived on homemade bread and homemade soup. And homemade cakes. I could always manage to make a few cakes. But and I haven't even written about this in the book A Cottage and 3 Acres, because where do you start fitting in all the minutiae of how I lived? But anyway, so I received an email from Simon. In fact, I received 2 emails from him. And Simon's advice was, in reflection, from reading down all the comments underneath the video, Simon's advice was a sort of consensus of all your opinions, in that keep the book, allow people to see the font that's used, So I put a few photographs up of the font. Keep that book so people can choose to have that book, and get some more printed. Get, say, 200 copies or so printed. I don't know if Simon was specific, but I'm just thinking now about the comments. Get a few hundred printed and allow people a choice, because I do fully understand that there are some people who find that text difficult to read. I honestly, I understand that. And I would not want any criticism of those people, because they're very genuine people. You know, I mean, people don't come onto this channel and stick with the channel and buy the books who aren't genuine people. That's common sense, you know. And on reflection, one of the comments that I got about the font was from someone who's become a dear friend and emails me regularly about, you know, actually sends beautiful emails. She's a beautiful writer. So I'm going to take that advice. That's precisely what I'm going to do. And so I'll put the book back up. I am a very emotional person, because I try to live my life from my heart. And those of you who've watched all the videos and read all the blogs, you already know that anyway. And there was a time when I used to feel a little bit embarrassed about being an emotional person. And, you know, try to cover it up. Like if I was watching something upsetting on television, I would cry. And there was a time when I'd feel embarrassed about that, but I don't feel embarrassed about that anymore. And it's not because I've got older and wiser. It's because anyone who cares to take the time to have a look around at society will know that we have got to this terrible state. This relationship that we have with Mother Earth has become so degraded because we have embraced only left brain thinking and not just sidelined our emotional responses to things, our intuition, but we have actually sought to humiliate people who have what I can only describe as pure reactions to things. Look, I'll give you an example, okay? Oh gosh, that coffee is lovely. I'll give you an example of this. All of you are familiar with the story of Princess Diana, okay? Now, do you remember when she died and there was that huge outpouring? And I mean, it was shocking in that no one had ever seen that kind of outpouring of grief. But you see, it was Diana, a woman, who broke the mould within a family that seemed to epitomise left brain thinking. And when she broke that mould and she brought that sense of humanity into the scene, that touched people. Because people, without even thinking or analysing it, realised that that was what was missing from their everyday lives. You think about it. Like in World War II, when you could not help but be almost perfectly balanced right brain and left brain. Because on the one hand, you had to be rational and logical and get on with life, and on the other hand, life was a series of constant bereavements and pain. And so there was that, humanity about people. This is what is missing. So, I mean, like I say, for most of my life, I used to feel embarrassed almost, for being an emotional person. I no longer feel embarrassed because I feel that this is what is needed. We need to have emotional responses within our lives. And you see, that is where the lovely balance between male and female can be reached. In a supportive way, not in a denigrating way. Like in the past, a lot of the criticism angled at women was, she's just emotional, just don't take any notice of her. But I think the opposite's so important. Do take notice of the emotional response, because that is touching base with Mother Earth. That is touching base with your humanity. So instead the response should be like the lovely responses I got yesterday from everyone. And then when I read Simon's response, I thought, this is just pure good advice. And it is advice coming from someone who is male and who yet honours what it is I do. And is there supporting. It's supportive advice. And, I just think that this is where so much of you see, it's like Jack. Jack is male, and yet he absolutely gets me. Absolutely gets me. Yes, you do, don't you, darling? Yes. Got my thick woolly jumper on today, look. It's an ancient one, but a warm one. So, I'm going to take that advice. And I'm also going to be, continually open to advice. And hopefully it will always be advice that allows me to maintain my humanity and that doesn't denigrate my humanity. And so, I suppose in conclusion, conclusion? What is it I want to say, Jack, in conclusion? I don't know. The delirium has kicked in again. So if I can get through the next few days, and if I can get through the next few days in terms of this cold, my eyes and my nose are beginning to stream, which I think is really good, because it means the cold is, as I said before, moving upwards and coming out. Because I think the problem with any cold like this would be if it moved down onto one's chest. And someone mentioned pneumonia the other day, and I've been eating lots of porridge and taking lots of vitamin C. And lemon and ginger tea. And today I'm going to make some beetroot and ginger juice. Yeah. Yeah. So, this is a very rambling video, I know. I think I've said all I wanted to say. Do you know, I do feel quite pleased that I got out here yesterday and you know, started to tidy up, and then came out this morning, had a jolly good old sweep up. I think that always makes one feel better, you know. Do a bit of cleaning up. Well, on that note, I'm going to go back indoors now and grab a handful of tissues, blow my nose, and after my coffee I'll take a vitamin C, another 1,000 milligrams. There's a very soft rain falling, it's like a little mizzle. That's a cross between a fog and a drizzle. But all in all, it's a lovely day. Blessings, everyone.